You are beautiful, Zerachi. Maybe not the way they understand beauty.
They were born on the same night, from the same womb, but destiny shaped them differently. One was praised by all, the other was mocked and humiliated. This is the story of Zerachi, the girl the villagers laughed at, and the hands they later begged. From the very beginning, Zerachi and EBUBE were born on the same night during a heavy rainfall that shook the roof of the village. Their mother labored for many hours, and when the cries of the two babies finally filled the mud house, the women shouted with joy. Twins were a blessing, and the villagers rejoiced, believing the family had been favored by the gods. At first, everyone assumed the twins would look alike, but as days turned into weeks, it became clear that nature had chosen a different path for the sisters. EBUBE grew into a child of striking beauty. Her skin was smooth and glowy, her eyes bright, and her smile warm. People often stopped to admire her whenever she walked past. Old women blessed her openly.
Look at her, such
Men
grace.
So
smiled at
beautiful,
her.
a true
Thank
and
you, aunties.
children wanted to play near her. Zerachi, on the other hand, grew differently. She was slim, too slim. Some said her arms were unusually long, her fingers thin and stretched, and her body seemed fragile. Her face did not carry the softness people admired. From a young age, people stared at her longer than necessary, whispering behind their backs. As the girls grew older, the difference between them became impossible to ignore. Whenever the twins walked together, villagers would greet EBUBE first. Some would even pretend Zerachi was not there. Others were not so kind. Why do these twins look so different? People asked loudly. Are you sure they came from the same womb? Some people even joked about it. Children were even worse. They laughed openly. Look at her hands, they said, pointing at Zerachi. They look too long. She looked like a praying mantis. No, like a monkey, another would add. And they would burst into laughter. The maidens of the village, especially those close to EBUBE's age, made Zerachi their favorite subject of mockery. Whenever she passed, they stretched their arms and bent their fingers, imitating her. Zerachi, come and use your long hands to sweep the ground, they mocked. Sometimes they compared her to animals, calling her names that cut deep into her heart. Zerachi would lower her head and walk faster, pretending she didn't hear them, but the words always followed her home. At night, she cried quietly on her mat. EBUBE, her sister, noticed everything. She often sat beside her sister, wiping her tears. My dear
You are
sister,
beautiful, Zerachi.
do not listen
Maybe
to
not the way they
them.
understand
EBUBE
beauty.
would say softly, you are beautiful,
Do not listen to
Zerachi.
them.
Maybe
You are
not the
beautiful
way they
inside and
understand
outside.
beauty, but you are beautiful inside and outside. Zerachi wanted to believe her sister. She truly did. She truly tried to. But each morning, when she stepped outside and saw the way people looked at her, doubt returned like a stubborn shadow. Despite the cruelty of others, EBUBE never abandoned her sister. She held her hands in public, walked with her to the stream, and shared her meals with her. When people praised EBUBE and ignored Zerachi, EBUBE would draw attention to her sister. My twin sister is so kind, EBUBE would say. My twin sister is so gentle. But kindness did not stop the insults. So, as they grew into young maidens, the difference between them shaped their lives. EBUBE attracted attention effortlessly. Zerachi attracted ridicule without trying, and slowly, painfully, Zerachi began to believe what people said about her. However, if there was one place Zerachi felt safe, it was in the kitchen. From a young age, she loved watching her mother cook. She watched how her mother pounded pepper, how oil was heated, and how soups thickened slowly. When she was allowed to help, she handled food with care, as if she was speaking to it in a secret language. Cooking became her escape. When she cooked, the noise of the village faded away. The laughter, the insults, the whispers all disappeared. And then all she felt was only her, the fire, and the pots. Something happened whenever Zirachi cooked. Her meals tasted different. People noticed it at home first. Her brothers ate more whenever Zirachi cooked. Her father nodded quietly, surprised. Even her mother once asked, "What did you add to this soup?" Zirachi only shrugged. She cooked the way her heart guided her. Ebube encouraged her. "You should sell food in the market." Her sister Ebube suggested one evening, "You are a very good cook. People would love your food." Zirachi hesitated. The market was where people gathered, where mockery lived openly. But she needed purpose. She needed something that belonged to her. After many days of doubt, and she decided to try. She woke up early, cooked rice and stew, wrapped them carefully, and went to the market. She chose a quiet spot and arranged her corner, arranged her food neatly. At first, people came close, attracted by the smell. Then they saw her. One woman frowned. "Who cooked this?" Zirachi answered softly, smiling. "I did, ma." The woman stepped back. "Ah, with those hands?" Others joined. "She cooks with those ugly hands." "No, thank you. I don't want her food. She might poison us." The whisper turned into loud rejection. People walked away, shaking their heads. Some laughed openly. Zirachi sat there the whole day. No one bought her food. When the sun began to set, she packed her food and returned home. By the next morning, the food had spoiled. She cried quietly and tried again another day. The same thing happened. Day after day, her food went bad. Her money disappeared. Her hope followed. Finally, she stopped going to the market. She returned fully to the shadow, convinced that nothing good could ever come out from her hands. Only Ebube, her sister, continued to believe in her, but fate was already preparing another blow. Ebube's beauty did not go unnoticed. Suitors came with gifts, palm wine, and promises. Some were rejected, some were ignored. Eventually, one stood out, a respectful man from a nearby village. The elders approved and the family agreed. Preparation for the wedding filled the house with joy. Songs were sung, wrappers were bought, relatives visited. Everyone was happy. Everyone except Zirachi. She watched silently as her sister's life moved forward. Ebube was not just her twin, she was her shield. With Ebube around, Zirachi was never completely alone. Now, that shield was leaving. On the night before Ebube's wedding, the twins sat together under the moonlight. "You will visit me," Zirachi said, trying to sound strong. "Always, my dear sister," Ebube replied, holding her hands. "Nothing would change between us." But Zirachi knew something had already changed. When Ebube left after the wedding, the house felt empty. The laughter faded. The comfort disappeared. Zirachi became quieter. Her tears became heavier. She felt like a tree whose only branch had been cut off. She began wandering alone, avoiding people even more than before. Loneliness wrapped around her like a second skin, and it was in that loneliness that her destiny waited for her. After Ebube left, Zirachi no longer found comfort in the house. Everywhere reminded her of her sister. The corner they used to sit, the mats they once shared, the quiet laughter that no longer filled the evenings. The house felt too loud in its silence, so she began to walk. At first, she walked without purpose, following narrow paths that led away from the village. Soon, her feet learned the way to the bush. The bush welcomed her without judgment. Trees did not stare at her. Leaves did not whisper insults. The winds did not laugh. And in the bush, Zirachi breathed freely. She began to notice plants, how some leaves smelled bitter when crushed, how some roots stained her fingers, how some herbs gave off warmth when rubbed between the palms. She did not know why, but she felt drawn to them. One afternoon, guided by her instincts rather than knowledge, she gathered a few leaves and roots. At home, she washed them, crushed them, and mixed them with water. She did not expect anything. She simply followed a quiet voice within her. The same night, her mother fell ill. The sickness came suddenly. Her mother groaned in pain, her body burning with fever. The family panicked. Neighbors gathered. Someone suggested calling a herbalist. Another said they should wait till morning. Zirachi watched her mother helplessly. Then she remembered the mixture. Her hands trembled as she brought it to her mother's lips. No one stopped her. No one even noticed her. Her mother drank it slowly. Moments passed. Then her breathing eased. The fever broke. Her mother sat up. Gasps filled the room. "How do you feel?" someone asked. "I feel light," her mother replied. Fear and confusion swept through Zirachi. She did not speak. She only stared at her hands. A few days later, her younger brother collapsed with convulsion. Foam gathered at his mouth. Panic returned. Without thinking, Zirachi grabbed another mixture she had prepared earlier and splashed it gently on his face. He gasped. His body relaxed. His eyes opened. This time, everyone noticed. They stared at Zirachi like they were seeing her for the first time. But Zirachi herself was terrified. What was happening to her? How could her hands they mocked, do this? She returned to the bush again and again, guided by inspiration she could not explain. Something ancient had awakened within her. One morning, on her way to the bush, Zirachi heard weak groaning near the footpath. She followed the sound and found an old man lying on the ground. A snake bite marked his legs. His body shook and his breathing was shallow. People had passed him. No one had stopped. Fear rose in Zirachi's chest, but something stronger pushed her forward. She knelt beside him and laid her long hands on his body. And almost immediately, the man began to retch. Dark liquid spilled from his mouth. He vomited again. Then he slept off. When he woke up hours later, the poison was gone. Old man spread the story before Zirachi could even stop him. By the next day, people came, the blind, the sick, those whose illnesses had defeated every herb and prayer. Zirachi healed them all. Word spread across villages. People who once mocked her knelt before her. Women who laughed at her hands now begged those same hands for help. Zirachi did not rejoice. She only served. Her heart remained gentle. One quiet afternoon, Zirachi walked to the stream to wash her hands. There, she saw a crowd gathered in panic. A young man lay motionless in the water. He had drowned. People whispered. Some cried. Others said it was too late. Zirachi stepped forward. She touched his stomach. Water immediately poured from his mouth. His chest rose. He breathed. His name was Chima. When he opened his eyes and saw Zirachi, his heart changed forever. He said, "You are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen." Zirachi panicked. She ran. She did not believe love could ever find her. But Chima did not give up. For him, beauty had finally revealed its true face. Zirachi did not sleep that night. After running away from the stream, her heart beat wildly in her chest. The words of the young man echoed in her ears again and again. "You are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen." She laughed bitterly each time the memory returned. Those words had never been spoken to her before. Not once in her entire life. She had heard many things. Ugly, strange, cursed, but never beautiful. She convinced herself that the man was confused. Perhaps he had spoken out of shock. Perhaps he did not see her properly. Men like that did not fall in love with women like her. The next day, Chima came. He arrived at her family compound with confidence, dressed like a successful trader. People whispered as she greeted Zirachi respectfully. He asked of her by her name. When she came out and saw him, fear rushed through her again. She tried to avoid him. Chima did not push himself on her. He spoke gently. He thanked her for saving his life. He told her he had traveled far and had seen many women, but none like her. "To me," he said, "you are a rare gem." Zirachi did not answer. Days passed, and Chima kept returning again and again. Sometimes he brought small gifts. Sometimes he only came to sit and talk. He listened when Zirachi spoke. He did not stare at her hands with judgment. Still, Zirachi struggled. Years of mockery had built a wall around her heart. She feared that loving him would only lead to shame. She feared being laughed at again by others. But Chima remained patient. He defended her when others spoke ill of her and whispered behind her back. He stood beside her openly. Slowly, the village began to see Zirachi differently, not because of her healing hands, but because someone worthy had chosen her. Over time, Zirachi began to see herself through his eyes. She realized something powerful. Beauty was not what the village had defined. Beauty was purpose. Beauty was kindness. Beauty was truth. One evening, as the sun melted into the earth, Zirachi accepted Chima's love. The village celebrated their union. Those who once mocked her bowed their heads in respect. EBUBE returned and cried tears of joy for her twin sister. Proud of the sister she never stopped believing in, Zirachi, once rejected, became a symbol of hope and grace. And the hands they mocked became the hands that healed, loved, and changed life. Thank you for watching. Kindly share your thoughts about the story in the comment section as we interact. Like this video please, and kindly share this video to your loved ones. Subscribe and follow this channel if you're not already. Thank you. Until I come your way with another story. For now, from me, it is bye.